Okay, so welcome to everybody that's watching out there in Facebook land as well, right? Welcome all of you guys here right now. It's great to have you. It is 8 o'clock, and I asked that question, and why do you think it's important that you start on time?
Because how you do anything is how you do everything.
How many would agree? How you do anything is how you do everything. Now, in business, is it important that you be prompt, you be on time? How many think it's important that you be on time? Right? Thank you. And it is really important to be on time. In fact, I would say that if I had a group of people this weekend, and we did an amazing 2-day training on sales training. And one of the things that we talked about was, what does it take to become a truly professional as a salesperson? How many can think that you could actually become a professional salesperson? Right? Do you think being on time is part of what a really professional would be?
Yes, sir.
Raise your hand if you think that being on time. Yeah. When you're not on time, what are you telling the person that you're meeting with? What are you telling them unconsciously? What are you saying?
That you don't keep your word.
He's not important.
He's not important. Yeah. What else are you telling him? Yeah. Go ahead. What else? What else would you be telling him? That his time is more important than your time, right? Isn't that basically what you say? My time is more important than your time, right?
Yes,
So I truly believe, and I've been in business for a lot longer than almost all of you guys, that being on time, in fact, making a point, hey, Joey, long time no see, right, since the weekend. But I truly believe that if you can get into the habit, and what's the word?
Habit.
What's the word?
Habit.
Thank you. I know it's early in the morning. Most of you guys don't really wake up until noon, but today we're going to really activate our minds. How many of you guys think it's important to activate your mind early in the morning? Right? Absolutely. Thank you. And I truly do believe it's critical that we all get into the habit of activating our mind first thing in the morning. And where's the red mark? I don't know. Oh, thank you very much. All right. Observant, very good. All right, so let's get the show on the road here. Randy, welcome. You look like you just got back from Hawaii. Okay, so good for you.
Were it only true.
Okay, were it only true. It will be true. If it's not true right now, it will be true. So first thing is, how many of you guys have something that looks like this? Right? All right, very good. So what do we want to do with them right now?
Turn them off.
Yeah, and we want to silence them, put them on stun, vibrate, whatever it takes. But whatever we do not want to be listening to all of your phones ringing for the next 90 minutes. Now, number 2 is we are a mastermind, and who can give me the definition of what a mastermind is? Well, besides Brian, because Brian can answer every question perfectly every time. Come on. If you don't know, take a guess. You were just at the Think and Grow Rich event where they talked about mastermind. Can you give me a definition of a mastermind?
Say guru.
Not exactly sure. All right. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
2 or more minds come together to create a third mind.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. When 2 or more minds come together in a spirit of
Harmony.
What's the key word here?
Harmony.
Yeah, a third mind is formed. So in other words, Reuben, if Reuben and I said, and if I said to Reuben, hey Reuben, why don't you come on over to my office? We're going to sit down and we're going to brainstorm for an hour on how we can make $1 million together. And you come over to my office and I say, well, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that since you know these kinds of people and you want to do this kinds of stuff and I know how to do this, if we team up, we can kind of like launch this thing and like blow it to smithereens. And then when it gets really, really big, we'll just sell the business and we'll each make $25, $30 million and we'll retire. And so I'm sitting in the office and I give Reuben an idea, and he says, geez, Jeff, that's a good idea. I had never thought about that, but since you've already given me that idea, I think we could take that idea and make it even better, because we could do this with it. And then I said, we can? We can really do that? And Reuben says, yep, we sure can. And I said, well, geez, if we can do that, did you know we could also do this? And Reuben said, I didn't know that. I said, well, we can. And then Reuben said, well, if you can do this, we can also do that. And together, we come up with $1 million idea that neither one of us on our own would have ever come up with. True or true?
True.
Right? So, in other words, there's a power, there's something called a synergy. What's the word?
Synergy.
When like-minded people come together in the spirit of harmony to achieve something that they want to achieve. You guys understand what I'm talking about? And the word mastermind really became more of a, I would never call it a household word because it's never become a household word, but it definitely became a much more well-known word when the man Napoleon Hill, how many of you guys know who Napoleon Hill is?
Yep.
Began writing his books and introduced the world to the idea of the mastermind. And he got this idea from the very beginning from a guy by the name of Andrew Carnegie. Now who knows who Andrew Carnegie is? Who was Andrew Carnegie?
He was the founder of U.S. Steel.
Yeah, absolutely. He was Mr. U.S. Steel himself, and when he sold U.S. Steel to J.P. Morgan, this is at the beginning of the American Industrial Revolution, when guess what the whole country was in big demand of?
Steel.
Every industry was steel, 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 steel. So if you owned the steel industry, you were definitely in a good situation. How many would agree?
Yeah.
Right? And it was like the perfect time. So when he sold U.S. Steel, he became the wealthiest man in the world because he sold it like, I don't know, back then I think they said like $400 and some odd million. And they say by today's dollar standards, when you factor in inflation and everything, it would be like, you know, hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars. So he is like super duper wealthy compared to everybody. And when Napoleon Hill asked him to what you attribute your incredible success, Andrew Carnegie said, well, when you talk about my incredible success, I'm assuming you're talking about my financial success, right? Because there's lots of different ways to define success. How many would agree, right? So Napoleon Hill said, yes. To what you attribute your incredible financial success? And he says, I can give you one simple answer. It's called the mastermind. What's it called?
Mastermind.
What's it called?
Mastermind.
He says, I'm not the smartest man in the world by far, but I'm smart enough to know to surround myself with the smartest men in the world. I needed marketing people. You know who I went out and got? Smartest marketing people in the world. I needed chemists. I needed engineers. I needed laborers. I needed every kind of salespeople. I needed accountants. I needed financial people. I needed marketing people. And every single one of them, guess what? I went out there and I got somebody who was like an expert in their particular area of work. You guys understand what I'm talking about? Okay. I wasn't as smart as any of them in all the different things that they were really smart at. How many understand what I'm saying right here? Right? I was just smart enough to surround myself that if I needed a really, really smart sales team, and I went to Brian Ponciano, and I found out Brian was like the #1 sales guy, trains the #1 sales team, develops the #1 sales system, and kills it. I want Brian Ponciano. I don't care how much it costs me to get him. Because you know what? If I pay him $3 million and he makes me $10 million, was that a good investment? Yeah. He's happy, I'm happy, right? How many people would you like to hire that you're paying them $3 million a year and they're making you $10 million a year? Because you get the best. When you get the second best, you pay them $3 million a year, they'll earn you about $3 million a year, pretty much break even. You get the third best, you're paying them $3 million a year, they're earning $2 million a year, and they're going out of business. That's why you want to get the
Best.
yeah. Who do you want to start surrounding yourself with, right? So this was what Andrew Carnegie said is the secret. So when we all come together, and it's not just that you are the expert at what you know when you form your mastermind, it's also that you come in a spirit of
Harmony.
harmony. What does harmony mean?
Being in the same wavelength.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. How many would agree that everything is energy? How many would agree everything is energy, right? Okay. And energy is nothing more than frequencies and vibrations. How many would agree with that?
Yep.
Right? Okay. So everything is energy. So when you're when you're in harmony, that means we're all in the same energy flow. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you agree with that, right? That's how it is. Okay. So if we want to make the most of our time together, we all bring value to every single mastermind, to every single Tuesday morning. Because even though I'm up here teaching, what I teach is not nearly 1/100th as important as what you learn. How many would agree with that?
Sir.
And the best way that you're going to learn is to participate. How many would agree with that? So as we go through our training, you have your own unique experiences. How many would agree? Everybody's path is totally different from everybody else's path. True or true?
True.
Okay. And because that's the case, you want to share when you feel as though you have something to contribute to what we're talking about out of the book or whatever. Something, if you want to share it, just raise your hand and I will call on you. I will never I'll never ignore any of you guys when you raise your hand. The one thing, hey, sight for sore eyes. All right, greetings. The Ponciano clan is in full force here today. I love it. Almost full force. All right, okay. But it's great to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming. So the only thing I ask is no sidebar conversations. So do I have everybody's agreement? You're not going to whisper in your neighbor's ear and all that kind of good stuff. I'm going to have your total attention here now for the rest of these 90 minutes. Do I have everybody's agreement on that? Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, very, very good. All right, so real quickly. How many of you guys would love to have a whole lot more money in your life? Can I see you show hands? How would love to have a whole lot more happiness in your life? How would love to have a whole lot more of both in your life? Great. Well, welcome to Tuesday mornings. That's exactly why we're here. And the first thing I always do at any one of our Tuesday morning trainings is I acknowledge you guys for showing up. Look, I know there are a million things you could be doing on a Tuesday morning besides being here. True.
True.
Right, so I want to remind you guys there are no accidents. How many agree? There are no accidents. There's a reason why you're here this morning. There's someone you're supposed to meet today. There's a message you're supposed to hear today. And it may not be coming from me. It may be from someone that you were talking to while you were grabbing some food. It may be afterwards. It may be just somebody sharing something. You don't know where that message is that you're here to receive today. But how many people believe that you're here to receive a message today? See, I know that's the fact. And so, one of the things I want to remind you guys is that, there's some people that decide after a couple of times to see me, they say, I just don't like Jeff's style. How many agree that you can't please everybody, right? You can't, right? And what I want to remind you guys is this, is that it doesn't matter what my style really is. What matters is, are you receiving the message? Because what's more important, the message or the messenger?
Message.
The message. So even if you don't really care for my style, don't worry about my style. That's just an excuse to take yourself out. Concentrate on the message. Do I have everybody's agreement on that? Yes? Okay, great. Okay, wonderful. Awesome. So, so again, I really, truly acknowledge you guys for showing up. There are no accidents. And so what I'd like to do is, 80% of all success is what?
Showing up.
Showing up. If you can just keep showing up. Right? And Brian VP is like a great example of it. Jonathan as well. They just keep showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up. And eventually, over the years, the DNA and the cells that make up BP today are not the same cells of BP when I first met him. All those cells have come and gone. Those cells have all lived and died. True. I mean, because I've known BP a long time now. So our cells live and die, right? So, how many of you guys were here last week? I think it was, how many of you guys were? Okay, so,
It was last week.
it was last week, where I was talking about, as your cells live and die, and as the old cells are dying, and the new cells are being born, the DNA is passed on from the old dying cell to the living cell, and you guys have seen me do this, right? That's why, I love to use the example, it takes money to make money, because everybody's heard that one. Raise your hand if you agree. It takes money to make money, right? Okay, so if you believe it takes money to make money, and you don't have any money, then what must that mean for you? Yeah, because it takes money to make money, and you don't have any. True, true. Right? Okay. So then, suppose you meet somebody and they say, it's a pile of shit. Who fed you that line and you bought it hook, line, and sinker? And then, like, for example, I would say, hey, you know what? Let me tell you about my buddy Hard. Here's a guy, he was broke. He had no money. He borrows $2,000. How much does he borrow? $2,000. How much?
$2,000.
Because he has no money. And with that $2,000, he opens up a store that quickly he grows into a chain that a couple of years later he sells for $1.6 million. It doesn't take money to make money, it takes creativity to make money. Let me hear you say that.
It takes creativity to make money.
Again, please.
It takes creativity to make money.
One more time, please.
It takes creativity to make money.
Tell both your neighbors that. Yeah. It takes creativity to make money. Now, how many of you actually believe that it doesn't take money to make money? It takes creativity to make money. If you create a really fantastic money-making idea and it's really, really great, you think you'll attract the money to make it happen? Raise your hand if you think yeah, absolutely. It doesn't take money to make money, it takes creativity to make money. Now imagine your entire life, you've always been told it takes money to make money. Because how many people do you think have heard that expression? What percentage of all the people that you meet do you think have heard the expression it takes money to make money? What do you think, PC?
All of them.
How many would agree? Everybody's heard it takes money to make money, right? How many people have heard it takes creativity to make money?
2%.
Very, very, very few. Now, if that file doesn't exist in your mind, how can you possibly think it?
You can't.
It's not possible, right? Okay, so now your cells, your wisdom, your knowledge inside of your brain, all the electrons, all of the chemicals, everything now has new information. True or true? It takes creativity to make money. All of a sudden, now here's this old cell that's about to die. And it's telling the new cell how things are, right? It's transferring the DNA from the old dying cell to the new cell. True or true?
True.
Right? And the old cell is saying, okay, well, my time's just about up. So before I go, I just want to tell you the way it is. And the way it is like this. Takes money to make money. Yep. You know what? I'm not, it might take creativity to make it. Oh, no, it takes money to make, you know what? You better figure it out, right? And this old cell dies, and the new cell is born. And now the new cell, at least it's open. What's the word?
Open.
Maybe it doesn't just take money to make money. Maybe it takes creativity to make money, right? Now, every day, as you keep reinforcing, it doesn't take money to make money. It takes creativity to make money. As the old cells are dying and the new cells are being born, guess what those new cells are believing?
It takes creativity to make money.
Yeah, you can actually change your own DNA. Pretty cool, right? How many think that's pretty cool? How many would like to do that? Yeah, absolutely. Does it happen in a day? You don't we wish, right? Okay, anyway, so I truly, truly, truly believe that if you stay in line, get in line, learn this stuff, apply it in your life will be transformed so fast you have no idea. I mean, in a year from now, you can be in a totally different place in your life. How many would like that to happen for you?
Sure.
And how many believe it's totally possible if you know exactly what you need to be doing? You know exactly the mindset you have to have, the exact attitude you have to have, the exact skills you have to have, the exact knowledge you have to have. Does that sound at all familiar, Joey? Right? We were talking about this over the weekend. What are the attitudes? What are the skills? What are the knowledge? Those three are critical criteria if you really want to be successful in the B quadrant. In which quadrant?
B quadrant.
And we're going to talk about this in the book here after we do our declarations. And you know, by 8:30, Scott, if you would please just remind me that if we haven't done them by 8:30, I definitely want to get the declarations done. Thank you very much. By 8:30, okay. So in the book, Harv specifically says, in the wealth trial we're going to talk about, he talks about the fact that, unfortunately, most people are E's and S's. And they want to get paid for their time. So they want to get paid for their time. What do they want to get paid for? Time. Yeah. In other words, they want to have a job. They like the security of a job. How many agree that we were all raised, hey, the best thing to do, go to school, get a good job, get in a good company, have a nice security, but regular paycheck, that's how normal people live. True or true? True. Isn't that what we all programmed to believe?
Yes.
Raise your hand and believe. That's what we, right? You know how much money you got coming in every single month. You can budget against that number. You work these many hours. You don't work unless you're getting paid. True or true?
True.
Isn't that what we were all trained? Isn't that how we were all programmed? True or true? True. Right? Okay. So most people are programmed that, God forbid, they would actually have to, go out there and sell their services and get paid really what their worth is, because they don't believe they could make more money on their own than they could in a job. How many would agree? Because if they believed they really could, they would leave the job, right? So what we want to do is the worst possible situation, and we're going to talk about this in the book. The worst possible situation that we're going to be talking about here is to be in a position where you're trading your time for money, because how many of you guys really want to become financially free in the next year or two? Okay, if that's what you want, you can't have a ceiling on your income. How many would agree? If you're trading your time for money, do you have a ceiling on your income?
Yeah.
Do you have a ceiling on your income? Yeah. I mean, there's only so many hours in the day. True or true?
True.
And so there's only so much you can do in a day. Do you think that most people who are making huge amounts of money are doing it all on their own, all day long, trading time for money? There are some, like CEOs of major Fortune 500 companies, right? Or certain professions, you're the partner in a big law firm. But like for 99.9% of the people, what do you think is like a great hourly salary? I want to go around the room here right now. I want you to throw out a number. What do you think would be a great hourly salary? Man, if you could make that hourly salary, that you would be thrilled to death. Let's go around the room. Be honest. Hourly salary.
I honestly don't. I don't know. I'm not satisfied getting an hourly salary,
So no number would work for you. Okay, all right. Do you have a thought? If you could be making $20 an hour, would you be happy? Would that be great?
Yeah.
40 hours a week, $20 an hour. Sound pretty good? Okay, all right. Let's go around this table here. What's a good number for you? Let's go around. Hourly salary.
Well, not $20 an hour.
I'm just, but how old are you now? If you were 15 and you were making $20 an hour?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, what would be your lucky number?
I honestly don't know. I think there wouldn't be a number if I'm doing what I enjoy doing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, to be honest.
Okay, all right. You have no idea? Okay. What do you think, Jonathan? $6,000 a month. Okay, $6,000 a month. Okay, all right.
95 an hour.
How much?
95.
95 an hour. Okay.
Well, going off what we're talking about, there's no really hourly you can get because it caps you.
I'm sorry. It what?
It caps you. If you're given a
It
number,
caps
it us, and that's
you.
not
You're
what
right.
we're talking about.
It does cap you. But some people say, you know what? I don't mind being capped at $80,000 a year. Man, that'd be great. If I could go from where I am right now to $80,000 a year, that's great with me. I'll take 80 grand a year. So 80 grand a year would be, if you're working 2,000 hours a year, right? 40 hours a week for 50 weeks is 2,000 hours. So 80,000, it would be $40 an hour. So if you could have a 40-hour a week job paying you $40 an hour, that'd be 80 grand. For a lot of people, raise your hand if you agree, 80 grand, that's not bad. you live a pretty decent life. You're not living phenomenally, but you should be able to more than pay the bills. True. Right? Okay, so the thing is that what we want to do is we don't want to have a ceiling on our income. What we want to do is we want to look at people that are happy to earn $15 or $20 or $30 or $40 an hour. And let's say I know, for example, that Mitch is great at building websites. He's phenomenal at it. And guess what he loves to do more than anything else in the world? Guess what he loves to do more than anything else in the world? Yeah, he loves to build websites. And for Mitch to build a phenomenal website, it takes him 8 hours. How many?
8.
8 hours. And Mitch says, you know what, Jeff? You bring me all the business you can. I'll gladly work for $50 an hour. How many of you guys would work for $50 an hour? We talked about how much $40 an hour is. $50 an hour. And I said, okay, so Mitch, you're telling me it's going to take you 8 hours to build a website. That's to do all the work, all the setup, everything else. And he said, yep. I said, great. Fantastic. Okay. So what I now go to do is I find people out there, and I look around and I start looking at the competition, and I find other competitors, and they're charging $2,500 for the same kind of website, and $3,000 for the same kind of website. And I go to them, and I'm talking to them, and I say, wow, you know what? You need a website. You definitely need a website. One of the services I provide is I provide phenomenal websites, but not nearly what the market is charging these days. The market is charging $2,500 to $3,000, but I can get you that website for $1,250 if you want to go ahead and do it right now. And they say, wow, that's great. Now, how much am I paying Mitch?
400.
How much? But total, how much am I paying Mitch?
400.
$400. How much did I just sell it for? $1,250. What's the difference between me paying Mitch $400 and the $1,250 I'm going to receive from the customer?
$800.
Okay, is that my profit?
Yeah.
Who gets to keep that?
You.
How much work did I do? How many more Mitches would I like to find so I can just spend my time selling? Mitch does all the work, I make all the profits.
It's endless.
True.
True.
How many of you could do that? How many people, you think there are people out there that will gladly work for 10 or 20 or 30 or $40 an hour?
Yep.
Yeah. And once, how many people would you like to have? And especially like if you have a team like in the Philippines, where you're paying them basically $4 or $5 an hour. How many people would you like to have working for you where you're paying them $5 an hour and you're making $100 an hour? You're charging $100 an hour. What's the difference between what you're paying and what you're receiving? $95. How many of you would like to be earning an extra $95 an hour? From one person working for you, where you're paying them $5 an hour, and what they're producing, you're selling. Right? This is how you create. You can turn people into money machines for you. Yes, go ahead.
I did the quick math, $1,000 an hour on 40 hours times 52 is $2,080,000.
So I'll take it down. The question is, are you worth it?
Okay, so you know what? We're going to get into this, but we're definitely going to get into this. What time is it now? Is it time to
8:30.
do our declaration?
29.
8:29. Okay, just don't want to miss it, right? Okay, but my point is that if you really begin to think about it, if you have something that you can market and sell, and because people that know how to do this stuff are called a commodity. I mean, I don't like to use it like in a heartless way. But the service that they provide, the skills and talents that they can provide, is a commodity. I'm telling you, even at where Scott and I are working every single day, I met this cartoonist. Now, do you think knowing a good cartoonist and maybe doing some marketing using cartoons might be a good, unique, novel way to do some marketing? How would I agree? Yeah, the guy's great. So I just said to him, well, how much do you charge? He said, well, he gave one price, and he says, well, otherwise I can do it by the hour, $35 an hour. And the first thing that went through my mind is, $35 an hour? I'll bet if I sat down and came up with a marketing idea, I could sell it to 1 million people, And if this guy's willing to work for $35 an hour, I can keep this guy busy all day long. True or true? Yeah. You don't have to have the skills or the talents at anything like what we talked about in the mastermind. All you really have to do is know the people who have those skills and talents and figure out a way how to work with them. True or true? There's a lot of people out there that just don't realize it. I want for us to all stand up and go through our declarations together, because I truly believe that declarations are a huge part of the learning process. Why do you think I believe that? Why do you think I believe that declarations are a huge part of the learning process? Repetition sure is the mother of all learning. Why else? Very good. I like that answer. Anyone else want to add something? Go ahead, Scott.
Because when we repeat out loud a declaration, we make a commitment to ourselves and
Did everybody hear that? You guys hear that? Say it again a little bit louder, please, Scott.
when we say out loud declarations to ourselves, we make a commitment to ourselves, we hear it verbally. I can't even, sorry, I had it and then I lost it. It puts it out in the universe and then it comes back to us and we feel it through the vibration of our body.
Okay, all right, that's right. We actually hear it in the very cells, because we want to get things at the cellular level. How many would agree? How many believe you can actually, again, we talked about it, this is how you transform yourself, is you gain new thoughts, new beliefs, so that we actually change our DNA. So the best way for us to begin to change our thoughts are to plant fresh ideas and reinforce positive, empowering ideas. So the two words are positive and empowering. Positive and what?
Empowering.
Yeah, absolutely, because our brains are loaded with negative, disempowering thoughts. True or true? In fact, 90% of our brain is filled with negative, disempowering thoughts. We want to replace all those negative, disempowering thoughts with positive ones. And the best way to do that is for us to collectively, we're going to stand up together when I say so. We're going to stand up with some energy. We're going to put our hands on our hearts. And we're going to say all of our declarations out loud with emotion. Okay, so is everybody? Yes. All right, so on the count of three, let's stand up if we're able. 1, 2, and 3. Woo! All right, okay. Good job. So let's put your hand on your heart and let's do our declarations. I commit to my personal development. Whatever I do it 100% or not at all. How I do anything is how I do everything. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. I choose financial freedom and the lifestyle it provides. My goal is to create passive income streams. I will master the skills and mindset of business. I will never quit until I succeed. I have a millionaire mind. Turn to both your neighbors, give them a high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. All right, here we go. You have a millionaire mind. You have a millionaire mind. All right, have a seat, guys. Good job. Okay, very good. Okay, good job, guys. All right, so again, just to remind you, anytime I do any speaking or any training, I have 2 rules. How many rules do I have?
2.
Thank you. And the first rule is this: don't believe a word I say. And why do I always remind you not to believe a word I say? Why do I always remind you not to believe a word I say?
You're trying to trick us.
Yeah, I'm trying to trick you. That's one of the reasons why, but that's not the right reason. It could be. But why do I always remind you? Don't believe a word I say.
From your experience?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Exactly, Aaron. I can only come from my own experience, and that does not make it true. It doesn't make it false, it doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it my experience. But whose experience is important here this morning?
Mine.
Yeah, every single one of you guys, your experience is important here this morning. So all I can tell you is that the principles and the ideas that we're going to be sharing here this morning have transformed my life and have now transformed the lives of thousands and thousands and
Thousands.
Thank you. Thousands of other people. And if you learn them, and much more important, if you actually use them in your life, I know beyond any shadow of a doubt your lives are going to be transformed too. So how many of you guys are willing to be open? And the key word is to be
Open.
Yeah, open. You got to be open. And actually, let's take these ideas. I hope all of you guys are taking notes. if you're not taking notes and you need to take notes, if you don't have paper and pen, you should invite someone to, because the most important thing that you're going to realize is that for you to get to where you want to go, you're going to have to learn things you don't currently know. How many would agree? Because if you already know it, you'd already be doing it, right? Okay. And people who depend 100% on their memory, anybody who depends 100% on their memory is not going to remember anything. Depending on your memory is like the worst system you can count on to grow. Because our memory, you want to know what's going to happen within 5 minutes after you leave here and you get in your car? You know how much you're going to remember about what was going on in here? How much you're going to be thinking about it? Once you leave here, you're going to get on with your life. True or true? Right?
True.
And within a day, you know how much you're going to remember about what we talked about here today? You know what percentage you're going to remember? Next to nothing. Unless you've taken notes. So the best thing you can do is get into the habit of taking great
Notes.
And the problem is, I'll answer. And the problem is that when should we have developed the habit of taking great notes? When should we have developed that habit?
5 years old.
When?
When we learned how to write?
Yeah, absolutely. By the time we went to school, do you think it would have been a good idea if you knew how to take good notes? At some point during your school education, did any teacher ever tell you that you needed to take notes? Did any of them teach you that? I don't know. I come from Canada. Maybe in Canada they were taught differently. Weren't you taught you had to take notes?
Yeah.
When you got to high school, didn't you have to take notes?
Yep.
Yeah. And that way, when it came time to study for the test, you just reviewed your
Notes.
Yeah, except the problem was, you think most people ever took very good notes? Raise your hand if you didn't take very good notes. Be honest. Yeah, all of you. So, you know what you're programmed to take? You know what kind of notes you're programmed to take? No notes or lousy notes. Guess when you started developing the habit of taking lousy notes? Now or when you were a kid? How about people that take great notes? If you started taking great notes when you were a kid, you think that's a good habit to develop?
Yeah.
Why is it important to take notes? Why? Why is it undisputed? It's absolutely essential that you be able to take good notes. Yes, go ahead.
To review them and remind yourself why you're coming back.
Yeah.
And why your goals are real.
Yeah, absolutely. Repetition is the mother of learning. Let me hear you guys say that.
Repetition is the mother of learning.
Please say it again.
Repetition is the mother of learning.
Come on, twice as loud, please.
Repetition is the mother of learning.
You're not going to learn something the first time you hear it. Just because you hear something doesn't necessarily mean you know it. True or true?
True.
And the problem is, as soon as we hear something, we think we know it. So when someone is talking to us, what's the 3 most dangerous words?
I know that.
I know that, because what happens to your brain as soon as you hear yourself say that? I know that. Shuts off. Yeah, it's like your computer goes on sleep mode, right? I already know everything there is to know about this. I don't need to know anything else, right? So that's why you have to be open, right? You have to be open all the time. So how many of you guys want to be open? Everybody not? Okay, we're going to find out, right? Now as for rule number 2, since we're all spending our precious time here, how many would agree your time is precious? Absolutely. I totally believe that. And boy, does it ever fly in a hurry, doesn't it? It's already second half of this year. Whew. Anyway, so since we're all spending our precious time here, how many of you guys want to get the very most out of this morning? Great. How many want to learn faster? Excellent. How many of you guys want to remember more of what you learned? Terrific. And research indicates that the key to that is
Participation.
Yeah, participation, absolutely. Participation and involvement, absolutely. So how many of you guys notice to ask a lot of questions? And what do questions do?
Hook the mind.
Questions hook the mind, don't they? They sure do. What do you think about questions, Joey? Do questions hook the mind? Yeah, we learned over this past week, I did a sales training program. It was all pretty much based on asking questions. Pre-planned questions. Isn't that correct? Asking pre-planned questions in the right sequence. How many of you believe that if you became an expert at knowing how to ask pre-planned questions in the right sequence, you could actually get rich? I'm going to tell you that is bar none the fastest way to get rich. No doubt about it, it is the fastest way from where you are to freedom. That's the fastest way. To know how to ask pre-planned questions the right way. Joe, would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, especially after this weekend, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. What do you think, Scott?
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, pre-planned, it's unbelievable how powerful it is. And once you learn it, you realize, you know what? Nobody's ever asked me pre-planned questions the way I've just learned how to do it. But it's how the real professionals learn how to do it, right? It's something that I learned from Xerox. But you know, once you are a professional at selling, you know when you're being sold to by a professional. Trust me, you know the difference. Because like 99% of all the people out there are real amateurs. So in any event, pre-planned questions are huge, right? They're gigantic. Now sometimes I leave the last word off the end of my sentence and your mind just fills in the
Blank.
Very good, very, very good. Sometimes I'll ask you to write something down, and sometimes I'll ask you to repeat things. And why do I ask you to repeat something? For repetition, so you'll remember. Yeah, absolutely.
Because when you say something, it means one thing. When I say it, it means everything.
Yeah. If I say it, it means one thing, but if you say it, it means
Everything.
Yeah, how many would agree with that? Yeah, that's why if you ask the right questions in the right sequence, instead of you saying all the stuff, guess who's saying all the stuff you want to have said? The customer, right? The other person. Because if they say it, it must be true. True or true? Listen, when we're talking, do you think we're also listening to what we're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you really don't, I mean, and you might not even realize when you're talking, you're also listening to what you're saying. And the more you say it, the more you believe it. So, you have to be careful with what you say. You say enough lies enough times, that lie will become your truth. True or true?
True.
It is. Yes, were you going to add something?
Teaching is the highest form of learning.
Teaching is the highest form of learning. That's why I truly, truly hope in my heart and my soul that every single one of you want to at some point become a teacher and be the person up on the platform and have wisdom to share and do it in a way where people can learn, right? Because I totally agree with you. They say be careful what you teach because you become what you teach. And it's really true when you're teaching something over and over and over and over and over again. I teach Warrior over and over and over and over again. Now I'm teaching sales training over and over and over again. And it really is true because you're just so immersed in it, that's all you are. That's who you are 24/7. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah? Okay. So anyways, in any event, how many of you guys want to participate 100%? Does anybody not? Okay, we're going to find out. And just for the record, anybody here that wouldn't raise their hand no matter what I asked you? Okay, all right, good job. This, all right. How many of you guys want to have some fun today?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, very good. You know what? I just sense a little bit of low energy. So here's what I want everybody to do. I want everybody to stand up on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Woo! Okay, we're going to get into the wealth file here. We're 45 minutes into it. So just to get the energy back to where I think it really, really needs to be, let's do a quick stretch, all right? Because I kind of didn't feel the right energy here. So I want everybody to put your arms way, way, way up in the air. Come on, stretch as high as you can. And then let's all stretch in this direction. Give a big groan. Oh, okay. Now over in the other direction. Oh, okay. And now bend backwards. Oh, okay. And touch your toes if you can. Oh. All right, stand up, turn to both your neighbors, give them a high five, and say, you're awesome.
You're awesome.
All right, you're awesome. You're awesome.
You're awesome.
All right, have a seat, guys. All right. Okay, very good. All right. Sometimes you just got to, one of the most important things is you're here to learn. How many people are here to learn? Good. How many people are here to unlearn? Well, you know what? You're more here to unlearn than you are to learn. Because the problem isn't what you don't know. It's what you know that just ain't so. You guys understand what I just said? Raise your hand. Understand what I just said? There's a lot of stuff you know that it's too bad you know it because it ain't true. But as long as you believe it's true for you. True or true? And the problem is that if you really understand the way the human mind works and the way we were educated, the problem is there's a book that I just finished, and it's called The Voice of Knowledge. So how many of you guys have read The Voice of Knowledge? And it's written by a man by the name of Don Miguel Ruiz. How many of you guys have ever heard of him? He wrote a book called The Four Agreements. Anybody ever hear of The Four Agreements? And in it, what he says is this. He says, this is Toltec wisdom, so this is like 2,000 years old. This is not like new hocus pocus kind of stuff. This is wisdom from the sages, the wisest men of the day. Right? And what they said is that the problem with us acquiring knowledge is that the majority of the knowledge that we acquire is completely contaminated with lies. You guys understand what I just said?
Yeah.
So from the day you were born, as you were acquiring knowledge, along with that knowledge were lies. But you don't know the difference between the truth and the lies. You just took it all as knowledge. True or true?
True.
So now you're contaminated with your lies, and now you spread it to everybody else you talk to. And everybody is spreading to everybody else all their contaminated lies. True or true?
True.
And you're a kid growing up, and guess what your brain is being filled with? Contaminated lies. You have knowledge, that's true, but it's so contaminated with lies. It's like you have a computer where there's so many viruses inside your brain right now that at any point in time a virus could kick in and sabotage you. True or true?
True.
You guys understand what I just said? Yeah, you have to understand this stuff. I mean, if you don't understand it, you don't understand your mind. And if you don't understand your mind, there's nothing you can do about it because your mind controls you. When you understand your mind, you can then control it. How many would agree? So you have to understand this stuff. The Harv truly understood this stuff. And for those of you that don't know, Harv and I have known each other since we were 10 years old. We're both originally from Canada. And when Harv was building his company, Peak Potentials Training, how many of you guys have ever heard of it, Peak Potentials? How many of you have never heard of it? Okay, so we've gotten to the point now where it's long enough in the past that a lot of people never heard of it. It did become one of the world's largest business and personal success training companies. And originally it was a business training company. And what Harv realized is that you can't have business success with a bunch of losers. You can teach them the best business strategies and tactics in the world, but if they're level 3 people, you know what they're going to get? What kind of results? Yeah, you can't give, if you give a shitty golfer the best golf clubs in the world, are they suddenly going to shoot par golf?
No.
No, but you give them the best tools in the world. It's what's more important, the tools or the person using the tools?
Using.
How many agree? It's the person using the tools is 100 times more important than the tools themselves. Having great tools is great. If you're going to be a carpenter, what's more important, right? The carpenter or the carpenter's tools? You can give me the best carpenter tools in the world. If I build a table, look out. It's going to be wobbling. It's going to suck because I suck, right? And conversely, you can give a good carpenter some basic tools, a saw and a few things, and they're going to build a great table. True or true? True. So it's not. So Harv realized I can't have a business training company because most people out there are not level 10 people. How many would agree? Most people, their brains are so contaminated with so many viruses that even if I tell them what to do, they'll sabotage themselves, they'll screw things up. I can guarantee it. They don't have to wait for the world to change. They'll screw themselves up. True or true? How many believe that's the way it is? We don't need, our worst enemy is ourselves most of the time. How many realize what I just said? And Harv understood that, right? So Harv said, look, I can't just be a business training company. I have to be a business and personal success training company. Because if I can't grow you into a level 10 person before we even talk about all the business side of things, show you how to sell, show you how to market, show you how to brand yourself, show you how to speak from a platform, show you how to close properly, show you how to systemize things. Before I show you how to do that stuff, I got to work on your personal development, because until you're at least a level 7 or 8 person, you're just going to dick around and waste your time, and everybody else is going to be frustrated. You guys understand what I'm talking about? So Harv's company, Peak Potential Training, was in the business of offering business and personal success training seminars. So we were in the seminar business, and our seminars were huge. We'd have 1,000, 2,000, sometimes as much as 3,000 people. Now, 3,000 people for a 3-day event, that's a lot of people. How many would agree? I mean, you hear about these 15,000 people that go to some of these things, but could you imagine you have 3,000 people coming to see you this weekend? 3,000? How many would like that? How about, and then the next weekend it's going to happen in another city, and the weekend after that it's going to happen in another city? How many would like that? Right? That's what we had going on at Peak Potential. It was the only time in my entire business career where we had so much business coming in the door every single day that no matter how quickly I built the company, I couldn't scale it as fast as he was selling. There was too much business coming in the door week after week, month after month, year after year. I would like to have that problem. No matter how fast I'm growing it, there's more business coming in. Right? And it's like, trust me, there headaches galore. But you know, and so the only way to build a business when you've got a brilliant businessman at the helm who's totally unstoppable and says, I'm going to the top of the mountain. You want to come with me, Jeff? And I said, well, I'm along for the ride, sure. He said, well, the first thing you got to do is you got to go through my warrior training, which I did. And then I had my senior managers go through warrior, and then eventually our supervisors went through warrior training. And pretty much we went from 35 employees to 135 employees in about a year. And sometimes I have some of my fellow peakers, that's what we called ourselves, my fellow peakers that are tuning in from up at, because we were based up in Vancouver. So, and it maybe sometimes Giselle is on. So Giselle, if you're there, hello to you. So, and there are a couple of others. So it's always great to say hi to all my old Peak Potential people. But they will tell you that while I was this chief operating officer at home office building the company, it was probably the highlight of their life. All of them. Because we were like an unstoppable team. We were the ultimate mastermind. We would do whatever it took to grow the company, and failure was not an option. Yeah? And it was just incredible. That experience was just unbelievable. Even to this day, of all the things I've done, I would say that building Peaks, working with Harv, working with our team was just an incredible thing, because we really loved all the programs and how we were changing people's lives, and we could see people being transformed. Like this weekend was a great weekend for me, because it was fun. It was fun for me to create an event and watch people come in on a Saturday morning thinking one way and leave on a Sunday evening thinking a totally different way. You guys know what I'm talking about? Right? I mean, did you guys feel that way? Yes. Yeah, I mean, it was like almost transformational. You come in thinking one way and you leave a totally different thing. If you come in a caterpillar, you come out a butterfly, right? And to me, it was so much fun being part of a company where every single weekend we were having people go through that transformation. And they were all high-fiving each other, and they knew, for the first time in their life, they knew with certainty that they could achieve their goals. How many would love, of you guys would love to know with certainty that you're going to achieve all your goals? Right? Don't all of us want that? Right? So in any event, Harv, while I was building the company, Harv wrote this book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And in it, what he did was he said, I want you guys to totally and completely understand why most people are held back from achieving massive success and why just a handful of people actually achieve it. And once you understand the difference, then if you're an intelligent adult, you can make a choice to make a change. But you can't make the change from the old DNA, the old ways of thinking, until you're aware of the new, of how the old ways of thinking, how you got those ways of thinking, how those ways of thinking have affected your life, and have affected your choices in your life, right? And so you need to be aware of that. You have to understand it. Then you have to say, you know what? That old way of thinking doesn't serve me, doesn't empower me, isn't positive for me anymore. I don't want it anymore, so that's called disassociate. What's the word?
Disassociation.
Hello, what's the word?
Disassociation.
Thank you. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to push that belief system to the side, because are you guys allowed to change your belief system?
Yes.
When are you allowed to change it?
Now,
Any time, right? Are you open to changing your belief system if you find something that you believe is better than what you currently believe? How many of you guys are open to that? So how often during the course of your day could you actually be changing your belief system?
Anytime, as much as you want.
Yeah, as long as you're aware, so that if somebody has a different belief system than yours, and instead of saying, well, you're wrong and I'm right, you might just want to say, well, I'm curious. Why do you happen to believe that? And all of a sudden, you might learn a whole bunch of stuff you never knew before, and now that you know what they know, you might say, you know what? You're right. I had never had that information before. Is it possible that with new information you might have new beliefs? Raise your hand if you believe that with new information you have new beliefs. Okay, who can you get new information from?
Everybody.
When?
Anytime.
Yeah, now, the question is, are you getting new information, high quality information from people who you respect and you trust, or are you just taking anybody's information? So is it important who you decide whose information you're going to trust? How many things? It's important that you understand this, right? Because that's what a mastermind is all about, really, right? Finding people whose information, you trust their information because they know what they're talking about because they're a professional at what they do. Go ahead, Randy.
If it's on the internet, you can trust it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Or if it's on TV, right? If it's on TV, it must be true, right? Absolutely, you bet. So Harv says this. He says wealthy. He said we're going to pull out the wealth file, and basically what he said is, I want for you to imagine that your mind is nothing more than a huge filing cabinet. So let's go over to your filing cabinet, and we're going to open the cabinet, and we're going to pull it out, right? And what he's going to say is, now let's look at 98% of all the people, most all the people that are in the E's and the S's. And when it comes to getting paid, let's see what their file says. And for 98% of the people, it says, to get paid, I go to work. And I get paid a salary, or I get paid an hourly wage, or I get paid by the job. That's most people, right? That's what they say. I go to work, I get paid for my work. When you were a kid growing up, did anybody ever suggest that that's how you should get paid?
No.
How many of you were introduced to the idea that if you wanted to get paid, you should just go to work, get a job, get paid? Raise your hand if you were raised that way. Yeah, raise your hand if you were raised. No. Don't go to work. Don't get a job. You don't want to do that. You want to get paid based on your work. You want to go out there and you want to hustle and figure out ways to. No, I mean, if you had a job that didn't pay an hourly wage or a salary, what do you think your parents said to you? Go get a real job. Have you ever heard that expression before? Go get a real job?
Yes.
Yeah, like if you were in a commission sales job, was that a real job? No, a real job, you get paid for going to work. Because you got to know how much money you're going to have coming in every month. True.
True.
Okay? So Harv is saying, okay, we're going to look at that person's file, and now we're going to look at the person that wants to become financially free, and we're going to look at their file. And we're going to compare how they want to make money, or I shouldn't say make money, because the U.S. printing presses make money, right? The U.S. Mint. Okay, we earn money. What do?
Earn money.
What do?
Earn.
Yeah, we earn money. We earn money, okay? So there's just a handful of people, probably really 2%, that say, pay me on what I'm worth. Because they're afraid that they either would starve to death or they would never get paid anywhere near as much as they can make in the salary job. True. That's most people. That's why most people do not want to have any kind of a sales job. Because if they have a sales job, if they don't make any sales, how much money do they make? Nothing. You think most people want to be in that situation? No, they sure as hell don't. If you want to be in, how many of you guys want to become financially free? So you've got to be willing to move out of the E quadrant and the S quadrant into the B quadrant, which stands for business owner. Okay. as a business owner, are you going to be paid an hourly wage?
No,
No. Are you being paid a salary?
no.
No. If the business, if you work for 80 hours a week and the business doesn't make any money, how much money do you make?
None.
None. Are there any guarantees when you go into business? Nope. Do you have to be willing to be a risk taker to be in business? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, do you think most people want to live that life? Raise your hand if you think most people don't want to live that life. Yeah, most people do not. Most people want this thing called security. True or true?
True.
They want to know, I got this amount of money coming in every month. I can budget this amount and do this. So they will settle to be an E or an S. Now, don't get me wrong. Harv says right in this wealth file, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a job as long as it doesn't interfere with your ability to create your wealth. Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Which wealth file are we on?
We're on wealth file number 11 on page 123. So, at least in the book. Right? So he says, rich people choose to get paid based on results. Poor people choose to get paid based on time. So he starts off, and we actually got into this a little bit last week.
Yeah.
He says, have any of you guys ever heard the old advice? Go to school, get good grades, get a good job with a good company, and life you'll live happily ever after. Raise your hand if you ever heard that story.
Good health insurance.
Yeah, you'll get all great benefits and all that stuff. And he says, I don't need to tell you that in this day and age, that's kind of like from Grimm's fairy tales these days. How many would agree? Job security is really an oxymoron, right? I mean, we laugh about it, right? He says, and so the next paragraph he goes on to say what I just said. He says, look, there's nothing wrong with having a job to pay the bills, as long as it doesn't stop you or interfere with your ability to create your wealth. But that's the problem. Most people, their job stops them from creating wealth. Because they're so wrapped up in their job, by the time they get home, they don't have time to do anything but grab a bite to eat, relax for an hour or two, and then go to sleep. True or true?
True.
Who has time to create wealth when you got a full-time job? By the time you get up, you get dressed, you get to work. It takes up a lot of your time. True or true?
True.
So it's very, very hard, unless you're an incredibly disciplined and dedicated person, to start something on the side when you already have a full-time job. How many would agree? Okay. So that's what Harv is saying. He says, poor people prefer to be paid a steady salary or hourly wage. They need the security, and what's the key word here?
Security.
They sure as hell do. They need the security of having the same amount of money coming in every single month, exact same time of the month in, month out. What they don't realize is that the cost of the security is the cost of them ever creating their freedom. So they're trading their financial freedom to have security in a regular paycheck. That's what Harv is saying. He said, living based in security is living based in fear. How many would agree?
Sure.
That's really important. That's why you got to be a warrior, because a warrior acts in spite of
Here.
Yeah, most people do not. Most people always act in spite of fear, but just because of fear, and so they don't act. Their fear stops them. What do you think is the biggest reason right now you aren't where you want to be? What has stopped you from getting to where you want to go up until now? Yeah, the BS that's going on inside your head. True or true?
True.
All those viruses that you got going on that you're listening to and you believe they're true. True or true? We are our own worst enemy, and Harv wants you to understand that. He says, rich people prefer to be paid based on the results they produce. If not totally, then at least partially. He says they make their income from their profits. From their what?
Profits.
From their what?
Profits.
Yeah. Rich people work on commission or percentage of revenue. Rich people choose stock options and profit sharing in lieu of higher salaries. Notice there are no guarantees in any of the things that rich people choose. Do you guys notice that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what he said. As stated earlier, in the financial world, the rewards are usually appropriate to the risk. How many would agree? Low risk, low reward. Higher risk, higher reward. Yeah, is being an entrepreneur higher risk than taking a job?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're successful as an entrepreneur, don't you deserve to get higher rewards?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is that everybody wants those higher rewards, But if you're number one, if you're a level 1 person, what kind of results are you gonna get?
Level 1.
Level 1, right? I mean, where's my marker? May as well use it, what the heck, right? What do we always talk about? If you're gonna be successful in this quadrant, which is what Harvard's gonna suggest, he says, I'm gonna suggest to all of you guys, you need to be in business. You need to be in a business because when you're in a business, number one, you get tax advantages. How many would agree?
Yes.
You can write off things that are, if you don't have a business, they're personal expenses. As soon as you do have a business, they're business expenses. True or true? Right? You know, if I've got a $10,000 program and you have a business, you can write it off as a business expense. If you're, you know, as either like, you know, a marketing expense or education expense, it's a legitimate expense of the business. If you buy my $10,000 program and you're an individual, that's not a deductible expense. That's just an expense. So you should have a business so that all the education you need to get, guess what it becomes? A taxable deduction. True or true?
True.
I'm a retired CPA. You get your own CPA advice. But I'm telling you, there are a million advantages when you have a business. How many of you that are in business know this to be true?
Yes.
You can put a lot of expenses on the business side of things. True or true?
True.
You sure can. And if you want to become financially free, this is the only quadrant that gives you the best opportunity to do it in the shortest amount of time. How many would agree? There's no other quadrant you can do it in that's going to allow you to do it as quickly as this. Right? And then, when you're in the B quadrant, it's got to be the RV, RK, and at the bottom is what? RY. Okay, right vehicle means what?
You're in a vehicle that you can actually create your wealth.
Yeah, are you involved in something you could scale up over the next year or two, that within the next year or two, you could scale this thing up and make so much money, and then sell the whole darn thing to somebody else that can scale it up even bigger, right? That would be a good idea. How many would like to do something like that?
Yes.
You could, by the way. Every one of you could, right? But in order for you to be able to scale it up, does it have to be a product or a service or a niche that's hot? There have to be a lot of people that want whatever it is you got. You have to be marketing into something where the trend is everybody wants it. How many think that it's important what niche you get into?
Absolutely.
What your product is? What was that? Okay, okay. Okay, so really important, really important you understand the right vehicle. RK, what does RK mean?
Right knowledge.
Come on, twice as loud.
Right knowledge.
The right knowledge. You have to have the right knowledge. And then RY is the root. It's the foundation. Everything begins with the right you. Say, everything begins with the right me.
Everything begins with the right me.
Yeah, and until you become a level 10 person, you're not going to get level 10 results. It can't happen. How many would agree? If you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, is that a level 1 challenge, a level 2 challenge, a level 5 challenge, a level 10 challenge? What do you think?
Level 10.
Is becoming successful as an entrepreneur a level 10 challenge? How many think it's a level 10 challenge? It sure as heck is. It's one of the biggest challenges you'll ever take on in your life. It's like climbing the Mount Everest of all the different professions you could get into, pretty much. It's a daunting task to become a successful entrepreneur. You got to take it seriously. You think someone who's going to climb Mount Everest takes that experience seriously? Do you think they prepare for it? They train for it? They get the right diet? They get the right exercise? They get the right tools? They get the right guides? Are they totally into learning what it takes to be successful and get to the top of that mountain? True.
True.
You need to feel the same way about entrepreneurship. It's not going to be an easy road. There's going to be ups and downs and crevices and all kinds of scary stuff, but if you've got your Sherpas and your guys and you got the right tools and you do things the right way, there's a really good chance you'll make it to the top. True or true?
True.
Now, do people get killed along the way? All right, do you think there have been people that have died? I've read about all the people that died climbing Everest this year. True or true?
True.
No guarantee you're going to get to the top, even if you've trained, you've done everything right. True or true?
True.
So there are no guarantees, even as an entrepreneur. But if you're going to work hard anyways, and if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to work hard?
Yeah.
How many agree? If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to work a lot harder than an employee.
Yes.
If you're going to work hard anyways, you might as well get rich, and the quicker the better. True or true?
True.
How many agree with that? See, I totally agree with that. So, you know, Harv says you cannot trade, never, ever have a ceiling on your income. And as long as you're willing to trade time for money, you have a ceiling on your income. He says that's why in the personal services industry, like if you're a masseuse, or you're a professional, you're a doctor, a dentist, or a lawyer, you can earn an okay living, but you're not going to get rich from that because you're still trading time for money. Unless what you can do is go from being a chiropractor to hiring 6 or 7 other chiropractors, opening up a chiropractic clinic, hiring these guys out at $50 an hour and selling them out at $100 an hour and keeping all these guys busy. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, there's a big difference though between the person doing the chiropractic work and the person that's building the chiropractic business that he's now going to build into a chain and sell the chain all around the United States. Is that a whole different idea altogether? Okay, so you know, the poor person is thinking about how do I earn a living. The rich person is thinking, how do I create wealth? You guys understand? Is there a difference? If you guys want to have wealth, you need to start thinking much, much, much bigger than just earning a living. You have to start thinking about how can I create wealth, right? That's what Harv is talking about. So he says, now if you're selling a product instead of a service, he says, imagine that you're a pen salesman, right? And you have all the different hotel chains as your clients, and you go into the Marriott hotels, and the Marriott hotels, they say, Jeff, we need 5,000 pens. You know, that's a Marriott, Charlotte, North Carolina. No problem. I call up my vendor. I say, hey, Marriott needs 5,000 pens. They need Marriott, Charlotte, North Carolina on them. My vendor takes care of the pen order. I invoice Marriott. They send me the money. Everything is good, nice and simple. True.
True.
That's just that simple. Now suppose the next day I'm meeting with a different hotel chain, Hilton, and they say, Jeff, we need 50,000 pens. So I call up my first vendor, my first supplier. He says, geez, I can't do 50,000 pens that fast. I said, no problem. How many can you do? He said, I can do 30. I said, great. I call my second vendor. He can do 15. I call a third vendor. He can do 5. I got all 50,000 pens taken care of. No problem. True. Okay. Now suppose you're a massage therapist. You're really good at what you do. You got 50,000 people lined up outside your door. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Stress out.
You're going to shoot yourself, right? I mean, if you work really, really fast, maybe what? You can get through 8 of them in a day? You ask everybody to come back again tomorrow, get back in line, hold your spots, whatever. Right? So that's why you need to position yourself where there's no limit to how much you can sell. That's why very often selling a product versus a service is so much more profitable. Right? If you own a health club, how many health club memberships can you sell?
As many.
Is there a limit? No, there's no limit, man. Because even if you sold 10 million memberships to the health club and it's only the size of this room, that's how many would, the room would never be full anyways, because 90% of all the people that buy health club memberships don't bother going after the first month or two.
True.
Is that human nature?
Yes.
How many agree? That's human nature.
Yes.
How many can relate to that personally? That sometimes that happens to us. See, it happens to all of us. That's how we sabotage ourselves. That's one of the viruses that each and every single one has inside of you. We procrastinate, we come up with a great idea, we do it for a little while, and then we quit. Many, many, many people are great starters and terrible quitters. How many would agree? The question is, how good can you get at quitting? At not quitting. How good can you get at staying in line and keeping in line, right? Keep showing up and never quitting. And the person that never quits, if you stay at something long enough, eventually you figure it out. True. This is what I totally believe. This is what Harv believes as well. So I want to make sure that we get through a couple of the most important things here that Harv says. He says on page 127, he says, personally, I believe just about everyone should own their own business, be it full-time or part-time. He says the first reason is that by far the vast majority of millionaires became rich by being in their own business. How many believe that's true?
True.
Yeah, by far, by being in their own business. Secondly, it's extremely difficult to create wealth when the tax man is grabbing almost half of everything you own. So again, when he's talking about the tax benefits that you get when you are in your own business. True or true?
True.
Okay, finally, he says, if you don't have a brilliant business idea, don't worry, you can use someone else's. He says, first, you can become a commissioned salesperson. Selling is one of the world's highest paid professions. If you're good, you can earn a fortune. I want to say that again. If you don't have a brilliant business idea, not to worry, you can use someone else's. How many would agree? There's lots of other people came up with great ideas. You don't have to invent the wheel. There's already lots of great products, services, stuff out there, right? You can become a commissioned salesperson. And selling is one of the highest paid professions in the world. How many agree? See, if you want to excel in the B quadrant, what knowledge, what skills do you think you have to have, even if you have the right vehicle? What do you have to do in order to make a lot of money in the right vehicle? We have to be able to do really well. Talk to people. What's the word?
Sell.
What do you have to be able to do?
Communicate.
You have to, well, communicate in a persuasive way so that people want to buy, right?
Pre-planned questions.
Pre-plan. And if you don't sell, how long are you going to be in business?
Not very long.
Is that true for some businesses or every business on the planet?
All of them.
Every single business on the planet, if you can't sell, you're not going to be in business. So does every single business need to have sales?
Yes. Yes.
Is there any business that doesn't need to have sales? So what do you think your business is going to need to have?
Sales.
Guess what you're going to have to get good at doing?
Sales.
How good are you at selling right now? You want to know a good indicator? Look at your bank account. That'll tell you pretty much how good you are at selling right now. True, true?
True.
For almost all of you. Now, the good news is selling a learnable skill.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does he say? He says, number one, become a commissioned salesperson. And I believe every single one of you, if you learned the skills that I taught this last weekend, you'd make a shitload, pardon my language, you'd make a shitload of money knowing how to sell the proper way how to sell, the professional way how to sell, the way Xerox told me how to sell, a way of selling that nobody does, but it's the most effective way of selling I've ever learned in 40 years of being in business. Incredible. The next thing he says is, you can become rich by getting into a network marketing organization. True or true?
True.
Yeah, because how much does it cost to get into a network marketing organization?
Nominal fee.
Yeah, just $100, a few $100, maybe $1,000. But does it cost a lot of money to join a network marketing organization?
No.
Then what's your income potential once you join it?
Unlimited.
What is it?
Unlimited.
Yeah. Then, isn't it true that the better you get at sponsoring people and training them so that those people can sponsor people and train them so that those people can sponsor people and train them? So you have a strong downline of well-trained people. Don't you think that if you could develop that over 12 to 24 months, you could pretty have an amazing organization, pulling in $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month? How many believe that's true? You sure as hell could. All you'd have to do is be the right person. Are there people out there doing that right now? How many believe there are people out there in all kinds of different network marketing organizations selling everything from facial cream to CBD products to ACN, long distance carriers, internet carriers, utilities, to you name it, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. How many different kinds of multi-level marketing companies are out there?
Endless.
Endless. That means how many different choices do you have right now to get into one and get rich?
Endless.
Endless. Endless. How many of you guys have at least $100? Oh, or at least access to $100. Then there you go. There's an endless number of doors that you could go to. Or nowadays, because of the internet, Harv didn't write it in the book, but if he wrote this in 2003, it wasn't so big then as it is now. How about affiliate programs? How much does it cost to sign up and say, hey, I want to be an affiliate and sell your stuff? If you went online right now and said affiliate programs, you would find that there's like 50 million choices of affiliate programs you can sign up for free. And now, whenever you sell any of their stuff, guess what you make? It doesn't even cost you anything to sign up. How many of you agree that that's a way? And what's the ceiling on your income if, let's say, like for example, I help market and promote all of Harv Ecker's programs. They're all digital programs. How many of these digital programs do you think Harv can sell?
Unlimited.
Yeah, you think he's got a warehouse full of digital products? Or do you think you just download, he's got one file stored somewhere in cyberspace, and as soon as somebody pays $497, they download onto their phone and onto their computer the whole darn program. How much does it cost Harv? What's his profit margin? If you had a digital product, and you had a website, and it was so persuasive that I said, wow, I got to take Ted's program, man. It's only $497. It's got to be at least $10,000 of value in this program, right? And it's a digital program. As soon as I swipe my card, other than the merchant services fee that you're going to have to pay, how much of that $497 is profit? 100%. 100% of it. Okay. So what if you could get 10 of us to all go out there and say, man, we want to sell your stuff. If you give us 50% of the profit, we'll all go out there and sell. Now you got a sales team of 10 people all out there selling. They get 50%, you get 50%. Would you do that?
Yeah.
How much work are you doing?
None.
Yeah. How would you like to have a whole sales team out there selling your stuff?
Passive income.
Yeah, exactly. And how about for me, I didn't have anything to sell. You created something, now I got something to sell. I can sell that, no problem, make 50%. I don't have to service it, I don't have to worry about anything. All I got to do is say, you got to check this out. Here's a link. And they go to your site, they buy it, you get 50%, I get 50%. Are these opportunities out there for you right now?
Yeah.
What's your income potential with any of them? What's your income potential with any of them?
Unlimited.
Unlimited. Your ability to sell and market is what's going to make you rich quicker. All the other stuff, the operations, the administration, all that other stuff is stuff that, you know what, that stuff you can pay other people to do. Period. Operations, administration, all that other stuff. You know, one of the things I hope you guys are going to do over the next 6 to 12 months is you're going to learn the difference between strategic and tactics. Most all of us here in this room, most all of you in this room, are tactical people. In other words, you do the work, right? You're the person that does the work. Well, there's tactical people and there are strategic people. The strategic people figure out what work needs to be done, and then the tactical people are the ones that actually do the work. So which would you rather be, the strategic person, the person that's working on the business, or the tactical person, the person that's working in the business? At the beginning, you're probably both. You don't have enough money to be able to pay all these people, so you got to do it yourself. But while you're doing it, you're figuring out everything I'm doing, I'm going to figure out the right way to do it, and then as soon as I can, I'm going to hand it off to somebody else. Because all day long, your goal is to ask yourself this big, big, important question. How can this be done without me? What are you going to ask yourself?
How can this be done without me?
Again.
How can this be done without me?
All day long, every day, everything you're doing, you want to ask yourself, how can this be done without me? Because you want to know, when does your cash register ring? When's the only time in your entire week when your bank account goes up? When is it?
When you make a sale.
Yeah, when you make a sale, right? Okay. So what should you be doing all the time? No, that's the only thing you should be doing. Everything else should be up to other people or automated into systems or handed off to other people. Now, that doesn't mean you abdicate those responsibilities. That means you delegate those responsibilities. Because most people are terrible delegators. They're what we call abdicators. Okay, Mitch, you got this department. Go do it. No accountability, no clear guidelines, no expectations, no nothing. Right? And then a month later, unfortunately, a whole bunch of things are messed up. Because I abdicated instead of delegating. I wasn't clear in my communication. I didn't follow up with him properly. I didn't make sure that we had a system in place so that if he was having any challenges, I would hear about it right away. True or true?
True.
True.
So you correct and you continue. Thank you. So you correct and you continue. What do?
Correct and continue.
You correct and you continue. So what Harv is saying here is that unless you position yourself into a situation where there's no ceiling on your income, you can never, ever, ever become financially free. You definitely can never become financially free quickly. How many would agree with that? So what you have to do is, like he said two of the biggest ways that he said, or he says another option is exchanging your job for a contract position. So if instead of working for the company, sometimes the company says, oh, you'd like to be a contract employee with us, rather you want to go and be an independent contractor? Great. Because for the employer, do they have other costs besides paying your salary? Do they have other expenses when they have an employee besides just paying their salary? Yeah, they got to pay for benefits, they got to pay Social Security taxes, they got to pay all these other things. By the time it's all said and done, they're paying like 150% of what they're actually paying to the employee. There's another 50% going in benefits and all kinds of other expenses. So a lot of people say, well, you know what? Let me just work for you contract-wise. Let me go become an independent contractor. And that way, I can also go out there and I can get 10 other clients. Whereas if I'm just working with you, I got to just work with you. So that's another really great way to do it. But what you need to do is you need to figure out how to get into something where you can sell a lot of it. If you're in personal services, it's hard to sell a lot of massages because you can only do like 8 in a day. Eventually, after doing it 50 days in a row, you'll pass out. Sure. So you want to find something. What can I sell that I can sell in large quantities? And even better, what can I sell that once they buy this from me, they're going to want to buy from me every single month? Or what can they buy from me once they buy this from me? I also got this, and this that they would be interested in. So I'm never going to run out of things for these people to buy from me because I know exactly what they need and I got the answer to all their problems. True. So that's knowing that you're going to continue to upsell and cross-sell and promote to your current happy customers because you've learned how to give them the ultimate buying experience. All right, so I want everybody to stand up, please, so we can go through the declaration. Now, come on. Whoa. Okay, so we're going to put our hand on our heart. Now, I'm going to say it first, and then I want for you guys to say it. I choose to get paid based on my results. Let me hear you.
I choose to get paid based on my results.
Again, please.
I choose to get paid based off my results.
One more time, twice as loud.
I choose to get paid based off my results.
Turn to both your neighbors, give them a high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. You have a millionaire mind. You have a millionaire mind. All right, have a seat, guys. All right, have a seat, guys. Great job. Okay, have a seat. Great job. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, let's start with the millionaire mind, and then we can work our way up to the billionaire mind. Right? Because at the end of the day, how many of you guys really, honestly, and truly, in the bottom of your heart, you really, really, truly want to become financially free, and you'd love to do it as quickly as possible? Then how many would agree that if you master certain skills, that it's going to get you there a whole lot faster? How many would agree? And about the 4 quadrants, how many would agree that if you're not already rich and you can just use your money to invest and live off the earnings of your investments, that's what an I does, right? That's the investor. But your goal is to get to that point, that the fastest way is in the B quadrant. How many would agree? And in every business, what's the most important part of every business?
Selling.
Selling, right? We are all in the business of sales and marketing. Say, I'm in the business of sales and marketing.
I'm in the business of sales and
Say it
marketing.
again, please.
I'm in the business of sales and
One
marketing.
more time, twice as loud.
I'm in the business of sales and marketing.
Now, you may be in the business of selling and marketing your products or your services. We're all in the business of selling and marketing. And the thing that's going to separate us as the 2% Club is we are all going to understand what we just said. We are in the business of sales and marketing, and we're going to ramp up our selling and marketing skills 1,000%. And once we ramp up our selling and marketing skills 1,000%, do you know what products and services you can sell?
Anything.
What? How many different products and services can you sell?
All of them.
All of them. And you know what? Most of them you can sell from anywhere in the world as long as you have access to the internet. How would you like to be able to make money selling stuff anywhere in the world all the time? Is that freedom?
Yes.
Would you like to be in the next 12 to 24 months?
Yes.
What stops you? Right? So that's the way it is. So before we wrap it up, first of all, give yourselves a round of applause. I want to thank everybody that watched on Facebook. Namaste. I read all of your messages, so I'll read that afterwards. All right, let's give it up for Ruben. Great job here on the
Thank you.
So I always end with one word, and that one word for all of our friends is namaste. Namaste. Very good. All right, so thank you for that, Ruben.